What in the world am I using to crush the World of Darkness this time around? White mage only. It'll never work. Silly little onion boys get there first, and last dances with daggers as I traverse my way to the Wind Crystal, collecting every single treasure of the altar cave. The land turtle is quickly carved up and thrown in the pot for some turtle soup. The flavor is simply divine. That gives the Wind Crystal an idea. I'm assigned the most appropriate job. Nice knowing you knives. Priests have covered wars, you know, but they weren't allowed to slice and dice. Caving in your enemy's skull with a hammer was totally acceptable, however. Gotta love a good loophole. Got staves on sale and I'm loaded up, along with some armor and bracers too. As for white magic, the cure spell is always not here. It's just Poisona. Wow, even black mages are getting the shaft in I'm giving the goblins the stick as I check out the shed out back. Thank God, there's one copy of Cure. Party-wide curing is gonna have to take a back seat for items, I guess. And it's gonna take a back seat to grinding, because while white mage's staff smashing is surprisingly not totally awful, it's still not good. But before I really hunkered down, I sauntered my caboose down to Cazoose to get the airship details. Then I took it for a spin over to Castle Sassoon. Princess Sarah's secret bow and arrows are unequipable. Okay, so that's for sassy Latina Rosa to establish in Final Fantasy IV. The grinding's decent enough in the Castle Sassoon Tower, so I laid the smackdown here until level 10. Then I restocked on items and proceeded with the story. Inside the sealed cave, the beatdown continues. I quickly procured another copy of Cure. That's halfway to party-wide healing. You know, the one thing that white mage is really known for. Staff slapping continues down to meet up with Princess Sarah, who immediately throws her mithril ring at the genie. Yeah, I don't know why you thought that would work. Genie, you may have outmatched the mithril, but now it's time to taste the white. Titanium white. And he does. But I also threw down the Antarctic wind I got in the altar cave. No time like the present to use those magical items. One follow-up round of staff smash and did it. I think I took like 80 damage total. Genie status? Captured in the confines of the ring. Princess Sarah graciously teleports me back to Castle Sassoon, because I don't actually have any spells yet. The Canoe King himself gives me a canoe, but this one's just a rental. I carefully used it to get the airship back and returned my caboose to Cazoose. Sid's in, and so is that new mithril gear. These mithril rods have got some nice heft. Oh, look at that, Cazoose's magic shop has nothing for me. That's a big shock. Taka's all like, "What's my name?" And I say, Taka, but really, he's looking for Mr. Plow. The airship's destroyed in seconds, and Sid's out of the party just as fast as I enter Canaan. Right away I'm grabbing that secret elixir, just so I don't forget. Now, in a shocking twist, the magic shop actually has the cure spell. Finally, my entire party can actually do their jobs. Down to Dragon's Peak, I'm desperately digging for Dash. All I found was Arrow, which I can actually use? Oh my god, they gave white mages offensive magic. Dash deploys himself from his hiding spot as Bahamut attacks. Oh my god, it's every man for himself! Fortunately for us, Bahamut's got no object permanence, so now's the perfect time to have a conversation. Dash hands over the mini-spell and I can actually use it. This run just keeps getting better and better. Sized down, I'm sizing up Tosis. The magic shop has more copies of Arrow, so party-wide damage spells it is. White mages have officially become the whole package. But how about some on-demand black magic too? Sleepy Shelko is not going to notice me nicking his fire staff, especially since he's poisoned. One antidote will fix that right up. Why would I use Poisona? Inside Shelko's shortcut, old habits die hard. I fled from everything to get to the Viking's Cove. Then I loaded up the party with mini spells from the Pink Mage. Then I proceeded directly into the Nept Temple. I've never been more confident coming down here. The Fire Staff gives me endless fire spells so I can roast everything in these random battles. This is also I can save my spells for the giant rat. Turns out that Arrow's actually really strong. The rat's blown away by my giant destiny and wind magic. Nepto Eye recovered and immediately inserted into the eye socket. I've re-enlarged myself, and now I'm taking the Enterprise westward. Arrow is really strong, but I have a limited number of castings. Limited number of castings is unacceptable, and that's about to change as I enter the Village of the Ancients. Firstly, I snagged mage robes for the party. Now I need to buy everyone elemental staves. After selling all of my random treasures, I had enough cash for 4 ice staves. These aren't cheap, but you can't put a price on endless spells. Bonking is a thing of the past. I'm back row okay for the rest of the game. Dash's destiny is to enter the Tower of Owen, so I froze everything in my way to get to Gulgan Gulch. Unfortunately, white mages can't use the elemental rods to boost these spells, but I can just sell these later. Oh yeah, and Gulgan Prime gave me Toad, a spell that I can actually cast. White mages just can't stop winning. I didn't even head back to Canaan, just straight to the Tower of Owen. Toaded up, I entered the tower, and I didn't even bother untoading. We frogmaxing, boys. My ice staves let me spam endless blizzards to destroy everything. Everything includes that meddling Medusa messing with the furnace. Medusa's spells are barely scratching my frogs. The endless blizzard barrage froze her to death without ever needing to heal. Dash, completely unprompted, throws himself into the furnace, and then he teleports me away. Alright, it was nice knowing you, Dash. No need to untoad since I'm headed straight to the dwarf village. My party of toads was not questioned as I bought 3 more fire staves. Hey, my money's as green as everybody else's. I bought some Maiden's Kisses too. Spells don't grow on trees, which is why I took a nap before becoming the quintessential toad in the hole. The subterranean lake's enemies are clearly fire type. Maybe more accurately exploder type. Single ate it. At least I have 1 phoenix down. I guess it's finally time to stop being a frog. I will continue to use and abuse my ice staves all the way down to Gutsco. Gutsco's getting some real, bona fide white magic with Arrow! Oh, my skin! Gutsco counters with his own Fyra, but 2.5 rounds of Arrow destroys him. Really regret not buying Teleport in the Village of the Ancients. Walking out of the subterranean lake it is. Endless blizzard spam gets me back to those extremely precautious dwarves. Despite all of their security, they fell for the oldest trick in the book, a guy turning himself into a sentient puddle. Gutsco's gone, but I know exactly where he went. I just need some items and a snooze first. It's fine, nothing bad's gonna happen. Inside the magma cavern, it's all fire elemental enemies, so wouldn't you know it, Blizzard is actually really good in here. With endless blizzards, the magma cavern just offered no resistance. Will Gutsco, with the might of the fire crystal job, stand any chance? No, not really. The salamander job's only gimmick is party-wide fire damage. I'm playing the job that's entire shtick is party-wide healing. Arrow and Blizzard are about the same damage-wise, but Blizzard is always free. After the first Flame Breath, I resorted to spamming Cura, and guess what? I crushed Gutsco into a puddle. Only this time, he's not getting up. The Fire Crystal offers me its embarrassing set of new jobs, which doesn't even include Salamander. No thanks, bro. White mages have got this. As I return to the dwarf village, Tocool Man moans about the magical Master Hine. Sure, bud, I could find some time to liberate your people. But first, the dwarven treasures must be plundered. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Scholarly gear? Oh yeah, buddy. It's equipable. Also, but first, despite putting on a strong face for Tocool Man in his final hours, I am a little wary of Hine's magical mayhem. I sailed to Gishel where I bought the Libra White Magic. Bro, who even needs Scholar? Since I'm here, I may as well stock up on all the magical keys I'll ever need. Oh, hey, a shuriken. I'll never get to use that. Wait, hang on, it sells for how much? One final detour back to the Village of the Ancients. I have to complete my staff set with light staves. After selling that shuriken, I've got fire, ice, and thunder on demand. Oh yeah, and arrow too. With every element and Libra at my disposal, that should have me completely prepared for Hine's barrier-shifting chicanery. But I couldn't possibly be prepared for sneaky abductions. I wanna believe. Imagine getting a red loser stamp at this part. Just mini your guys and then unmini them as you leave. Hine's minions are roasted with fire staves. Probably not the best idea inside a giant sentient tree, but you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Skeleton Sorcerer Hine is about to get spanked. Let's start off with Arrow! The damage is acceptable. Hine counters with his own spells, but I can just shrug those off easily thanks to White Mage's magical defenses. Arrow's queued up, but Hine got priority with a barrier shift. My damage didn't change at all. Is Arrow just not on Hine's barrier shifting element wheel? Hine tries to make me blaze it, but I'll never succumb to pure pressure. I didn't inhale. I only exhaled onto Hine with Arrow, killing him. Hine proving once again to be a complete joke of a boss. The tree turned moving castle politely asked me to leave for scorching up his insides. Can't say that I blame him. I'm instantly headed over to King Argus to get the Wheel of Time and to get all of the treasures inside the castle. This is mostly Gil, but I will take those 2 elixirs and a second scholarly robe. 2 magical keys are a small price to pay for those. Speaking of paying, I'm not going to be paying Sid anything to upgrade the Enterprise with the Wheel of Time. White mages are just unstoppable. Until I stopped at the wrecked ship. 1 antidote later and dedicated shard toucher Arya's good as new. She's touching the shard and holding it close as we enter the Cave of the Tides. This is a water-themed dungeon. These monsters are in for a shock with my light staves. But there's nothing more shocking than Arya getting darted after she puts the shard back in the crystal. Why would Kraken do this? Zande told you to do it? That's rude, dude. But as a game dude, the lightning spam continues. The Crack encounters with Blazara and Blazzaga, the worst of the higher tier elemental spells. I won this battle easily, courtesy of auto battle. The flood recedes and I'm clearly killed. Only I was resurrected 3 days later. I'm pretty sure there was at least one other guy who pulled that one off. Surprise, surprise, there's nothing for white mages in Ammon, the sequel to Only comic relief to relieve the tensions of recent events. Maybe I can at least get some sweet new kicks in the sewer. Secluded Shoe saleswoman Delilah hands over the primo stuff after a referral from my boys, the Fells. Hoofing it out of Ammon and my pumped up kicks to Goldor's Golden Manor, made out of gold. The Golden Goons get shocked by my lightning staff, but for some reason, Goldor himself is resistant. Alright, this is where my immersion has completely broken. Didn't the developers know that gold is conductive? Lightning should deal bonus damage to Goldor, not reduce damage. Well, it turns out it's not just lightning, all magic is off the table. White mages return to their roots with a staff-shaped smackdown. For maybe the first time ever, one white mage is on heal duty, while everyone else attacks. It's wild that I've barely had to heal in combat this playthrough, honestly. White mages have mostly been cosplaying as black mages for most of it. But healing is really good, and I have a metric ton of it. Goldor is beaten into submission very slowly by noodly armed white mages. In one final act of defiance, Goldor shatters the earth crystal. Oh no, anyways. Hey, look at that, he dropped a key. I'm free to sail the seas, and I'm stopping at Duster. There's a few random pickups in the area, but what are these? Rune bracers? Oh yeah, I'll take Petrify immunity any day of the week. Imagine something good coming out of the Bard in Geomancer Town. Duster had some good stuff, so I also hit up Repleto, the Summoner Town. There was only a few elixirs, but I'm okay with that. I've put this off long enough. I'm flying into Saronia, where my ship sails directly into the pavement. White mages are headed straight over to the pub to save Prince Alice. The remnants of Goldor's Gold Goons don't have his same level of elemental resistance, so they're zapped to death. I'm taking the prince straight back home since I caught him underage drinking. The worst crime anyone could ever commit. Whoa guys, what? An execution? I was only kidding. I step in to face off against Garuda. Yeah, so it turns out flying enemies are weak to wind in Final Fantasy III. Don't ask me why. By all accounts, it doesn't make any sense. White mages also have really decent magic defense, so Garuda's lightning's only hitting for around 300 a hit. Arrow is hitting for over 800 damage, so I'm sure to win as long as my speed is superior. White mages resorted to throwing some high potions. What do you mean I should use the cure spell? A priority lightning from Garuda knocked out Single. But I barely, and I do mean barely, eked out a win versus Garuda. I won on priority and finished him off before the next lightning wiped out my party. Hey man, a win's a win. All of Alice's past crimes are forgiven because he's the king now. As a reward, the treasures of Saronia are all mine for the taking. And would you look at that, there's actually something good. The Golem staff casts Break. Break causes Petrify buildup, but it also does damage. Since this is a higher tier spell, it's also just straight up better than these elemental staves. White mage got an easy win versus Garuda, and now a new staff? What's next, a free airship? Oh my god! The first stop on the Nautilus is northeastern Saronia, since the shops are open now. The white magic shop has Curaga, Raise, and Protect. Yes please, party wide. The newly opened weapon shop has Golem and Rune Staves. The Rune Staff casts Blazzaga, which by all accounts is just gonna be worse than Break. I told you, Blazzaga's like the worst one. But I am gonna keep a Golem and Rune Staff on everybody. What else am I gonna do with that offhand? Finally, the armor shop has Scholar hats and robes. It took hawking every single one of Saronia's treasures. But the party's all equipped up on a Thursday afternoon. My new staves are getting broken in as I fly to Doga's Manor in the Nautilus. Doga's telling me how Zande is just a rude dude with language that's crude. But who starts a conversation like that? We just met. Doga forces his way into the party. I love these Moogles, man. They've got Aeroga on sale. Finally, a real spell for me. I mean, I have on-demand break, but I'm still gonna use Aeroga. A team building exercise ensues in the Cave of the Circle. We did it as miniature mages, for fun. Doga's final motivational speech is exactly 3 words. Then he expects me to trust that the Nautilus can go underwater now. It does, but you can see how insane that sounded, right? Back to big brain boys casting Blazzaga and Break in the underwater Temple of Time. Blazzaga actually seems better than Breakdown here. I am genuinely in shock. But I am not shocked. The only worthwhile pickups for White Mage are the 2 Protect Rings. These are the best in-slot accessory for White Mages. White Mages are feeling the crunch down here a bit. Beefy Behemoths are barricading the basement. After some Bahamut breaking, I'm rewarded for my diligence with a loot solo. Last time the loot shoot was a joke. This time I had to hoof it back because I forgot to buy teleport. Whoops. Fellow white magic enthusiast Unei is awoken by the loot, and she needs to vent her frustrations from being woken up from the nap on adamantite boulders. Hey, I actually know where to find some of those. With the path cleared, I race to the bottom of the ancient ruins for the invincible. Unei gives me the tour, then wanders off into the wilderness. She smashed like 3 adamantite boulders with her bare hands. I'm sure she's gonna be fine. Now, I'm free to fly the world, and I'm headed back to my favorite grinding location, Lake Dor on the floating continent. I stayed by the entrance, and I ran back and forth fighting monsters for a long time. So why don't you run down to the like and subscribe buttons and press them tenderly? If you're enjoying the videos and are interested in even more content from Backlog Buster, you can check out the Patreon or channel memberships right here on YouTube. There are exclusive premium Buster videos for the discerning viewer, such as yourself. With a special thank you to my blessed Buster boys, we return to Lake Dor, post-grind. 18 levels later, I'm sitting pretty at level 50. I loaded up on the new white robes and spells from the Invincible. I had to buy 4 copies of Kiraja, Asuna, and Reflect. I also completely maxed out on my item hoard because why not? What else am I gonna buy? Afterwards, I headed back inside Lake Dor, for completion's sake. I plundered all of the chests inside and made it down to the basement. Was grinding to level 50 necessary to beat Leviathan? Maybe, maybe not. What I do know is that Aeroga is hitting really hard now. Leviathan's tidal waves as usual are doing a lot of damage, but Kiraga counteracts it easily. Leviathan is blown away with my newfound powers. And would you look at that, I finally bought teleport. Just kidding, that was an otter shroom. The Summon World Tour continues as I rock hop over to Bahamut's lair. Gotta save my Aerogas for the boss, so back to Blizzaga and break from my staves. Bahamut's a flying enemy, huh? Well, time for some serious revenge with Aeroga. Oh baby, is that a lot of damage. Bahamut's Mega Flares are no match for my healing. Kiraja completely counters it. Heck, even Kiraga does the job. White mages really are crushing it, man. It's shocking how good they are in this game. Bahamut is in the bag. Back to Blizzaga beatdowns as I work back to the Invincible. What are next? Oh, Falcobard, how exciting. Let's check out the magic shop. You know, somehow I dodged every one of these magical spells. Better pick all those up. Party-wide Cura and Teleport are mine now. Blindna is clearly useless for my white mages. Time to go splunking! Those Dark Knights are so dramatic, dude. I crushed the Shinobi easily with rune staves, and I've inherited their legendary heirloom, the Kikyu Ichimonji. Yeah, that's going in the bin. Back to the Nautilus, I'm flying down to Triangle Island. Back to break for these water-based boys. I really don't know why I keep coming back to Triangle Island. Outside of a few magical items and like 1 elixir, there's rarely anything for these early game SJCs. One final Nautilus task, and that's the Saronia Catacombs. More breaks beat the baddies, and I collect the treasures. Odin? He's a primo target for Aeroga spam. 2 turns without Zantetsuken, I'm shocked. My god, it was an entire battle without seeing it. That battle truly was a catastro, but not for me. I've been traumatized by past excursions into the world of darkness, so I snagged the final trap chest for elixirs. I've delayed the inevitable enough. I'm flying the Invincible to the Cave of Shadows. 1 hop at a time, buddy. Pinky 2's suffering an eternal John Locke moment yet again.
I was wrong.
Thank God I finally got an HD version. That old one was extra crispy. The Cave of Shadows is just for dorky Dark Knights, so all I need to do is spam Break and Blizzaga in battles. And then I can use high potions for healing. Why would I want to use white magic? I might need those later, you know, in case I get ambushed by a huge dude who's also rude. Just gotta grab the final Elemental Fang and you'll never guess what happened. The hulking Hecaton Cheer is no match for me. Aeroga spam is doing great damage, and if he dares to quake me, I've got literally dozens of castings of Kiraga and Kiraja. I can do this all day, baby. Except it doesn't matter because Hecaton Cheer's quake was pathetic and then he just keeled over. I snorted an otter shroom and then yes, I forgot how to get out of the mountain range again. One final hurrah for the Nautilus as I head back to Doga's Manor for some keys. Doga sucks me down into the bowels of the manor. I broke everything down here in retribution and then I reached the basement. Doga and Unei just don't stand a chance. Doga decides to get it over with first. I choose to employ a single iota of strategy. That's right, I casted Party-Wide Reflect. Except on challenge, he's throwing down the first Aeroga. Alright, fine game. Doga targeted the one guy without Reflect. What are the odds? Oh, it was 25%, of course. That's getting remedied next round. Now, Doga gets to enter the wind tunnel. Doga attempts to suck, but it's reflected onto himself, so he's just sucking himself off. Was that a Metalocalypse reference? Listen, if Doga's just gonna drain, I'm just gonna ignore him. After an initial Aeroga barrage, I'm resorting to Runestaff Blizzagas. Doga's frozen solid, but as his final act, he uses Flare, and it's reflected onto himself, blowing him to smithereens. Unei sighs as she steps up to face the music, a second time. Unei opened up with haste. Alright, I choose Party-Wide Reflect, again. Unei chose to haste, again. Too bad you can't do it twice. But I also wasted my turn because I had auto battle running. Double Reflect doesn't work in case you were curious. Aeroga spam begins on Unei, and she immediately hits herself with Holy thanks to Reflect. Reflect was the right call because Unei is only spamming Holy. I refresh Reflect every turn and continue to spam Aeroga. Unei just couldn't handle it. But all of this combat data has somehow fabricated tooth keys out of thin air. You know, that's weird because the same thing happened with Goldor. Officially finished with the Nautilus, I'm back on the Invincible now and forevermore. Elemental Fangs crushed the statue sentries and I rock hopped over to the final area. Ooh, the last crystal, the Earth one. Titan attacks, but white mages are tearing him up with tornadoes. He lashes out in anger with physicals that I just shrug off because I'm in the back row. That's all she wrote for Titan. A handful of weak physicals was all he managed to do. He's ripped apart by the whirlwind. The Earth Crystal offers me jobs, which include Devout, the obvious upgrade to White Mage. Brother, the game's basically over. Why are you giving this to me now? Just like DJ Bobby Rex, White Mage is my on-air friend to the end. Blizzaga is letting me crystallize the enemies all the way to the Crystal Spire. Just kidding. I'm breaking my way downtown. The only treasure of any value in the Ancient's Maze is the third and final Protect Ring. That's getting put on, and then I'm getting out to the Crystal Spire. But first, the always mandatory trip down to Eureka. I collected the chests until, oh my god, it's a trap! Blizzaga and Break are really tapering off here, but I need my stronger Aerogas for more ferocious fights. White mages are resorting to chucking antidotes in this one. Why would I use Poisona? Finally, the ribbon is mine. This is White Mage's best in slot headgear. The chest collecting continues as I work my way through Eureka, but should I really even bother? I'm not going to be using any of the too late I activated Ammon. White mages are opening up with Aeroga, then I quickly swap to Break. Break has to be non-elemental, right? Ammon shifts his barrier, and yeah, Break has stayed consistent. Like the stoic brick it's based on. White mages have great magical defense and excessive healing, so Ammon doesn't stand a chance here. My damage sucks, but I have maximum survivability, so this is just like in Final Fantasy V. White mages are finally resorting to survivor mode. Outwit, outplay, and outlast. Ammon's head is finally caved in with a barrage of bricks. What's next? I've got 5 Aerogas left as I unload all over the Kunoichi. Then we're back to brick-based breaks. Kunoichi's cheekily poisoning my team, so I'm flinging antidotes. Oh my god, she's got Aeroga too? Well, Kiraja it is. Challenge got nailed a second time with priority. Oh well, I've got maxed out Phoenix down, so who cares? After challenge was raised up, I unloaded 2 Kirajas. One of them's bound to go off in time. After that, the fight stabilized. I just continued spamming break. Eventually, I wore the Kunoichi down, but she did take out job. To be brutally honest, the rest of Eureka just wasn't that interesting. I gave the General an initial Aeroga and then resorted to breaking out the Golem Staff for break. If I ever got damaged, well, I have Kiraga and Kiraja, so I'm really in no danger of losing. General was dusted. The last 2 bosses can wait as I enter the town of Eureka. The waters have free HP and MP refreshes. You know what? I really should have done this warrior style. Eureka in reverse. Live and learn. But learning is just off the table since the tier 8 white magic is unavailable to white mage. It's for devoutes only, so holy never. Great. Golem saves, lend me your power for the rest of this game. Scylla's slugged with more bricks as she mogs on me with her own holy spells. I'll show you. All it took to beat Scylla was a few Kiraga and Kirajas to offset her spells. I just wore her down by throwing more bricks out of my Golem Staff. The final jobs, Ninja and Sage. Wouldn't those be nice to use? Ooh, the Elder Staff too, there's no way. Yeah, I was right, there was no way. One last tussle with the Guardian of the Ragnarok. It went just the same as the rest of them. I couldn't snort that auto shroom fast enough to get the heck out of Eureka. Eureka was a long gauntlet of bosses. Unfortunately, the World of Darkness is looking even longer. I headed back to the Invincible through the Ancient's Maze, and I returned to Lake Door. I grinded to level 68 here. The hope being that I can get a damage boost because man, these fights are already long. At the very least, these extra levels should give me more castings of Aeroga and Kiraga and Kiraja. Post-grind, I took my 3rd trip through the ancient ruins and arrived at the base of the Crystal Spire. The many consumable magic items in here have been largely ignored, but they may actually be good here, especially Chocobo Wraths and White Musks for Flare and Holy. Of course, elixirs are cool too. Looks like the levels helped my damage a bit, but it's nothing crazy. I endlessly spammed break to collect all of the chests and reach the peak of the Crystal Spire. Laster Masters the White Mages gaze into the mirror, and are paralyzed and about to be eaten by dragons. Good thing Ghost Doga's back to recruit all the people I helped along the way. See? It never hurts to be nice to everybody. The Great Sage Noah blessed Zande with an ephemeral existence. Hey, welcome to the club, buddy. Starting off with my superior Aeroga, I got 8 castings off before Zande unleashed a meteor. This is about 1200 damage party-wide. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a breeze. I don't even have to use Curaja. Curaga is more than enough to counter that. Aeroga spam resumes, and every time I tank a meteor, a single Curaga comes out to recover the party. For reference, I have 11 castings on each White Mage, so I can survive this for a really long time. That doesn't even include tapping into my Curaja castings. Every White Mage burned through all 9 castings of Aeroga, but it was enough to take down Zande. Enjoy death, idiot. In an ironic twist of fate, I too am killed by death. But just kidding! Ghost Doga, Ghost Unei, and my friends are here to revive me. But really, they just punted my corpses into the world of darkness. I chose to go after Cerberus first, but some random battles were inevitable. Brick thrown with break is still working, but it's far from what I would actually call good. At least my item hoard is still huge to heal between battles. Thank God I got that spell refresh after Zande. Cerberus is entering Aeroga's wind tunnel. I'm barely being hurt by any of his attacks either. Lightning hit me for like 100 damage. If I ever do need to heal, Curaga is more than sufficient. Each White Mage burned through all 9 castings of Aeroga. That's what, like 9 times 4 times 1,000 damage? So like 36,000 out of like 100k? Resorting to breaking out the brick was inevitable. It'd be nice if these World of Darkness bosses didn't have such an absurdly high HP pool, but you gotta deal with it. Unlimited breaks thanks to the Golem Staff, and near limitless healing means I was going to win. It was just a matter of time. I broke Dark Wind before the Crystal, and the first Dark Warrior popped out. I accept my Crystal-based heal with dignity and class. It's just low class, okay? Off to get the ribbons now. Zande's clones are significantly less robust than the man himself, so I collected the first one, equipped my ribbon, and returned to heal. Then I decided I was powerful enough to go straight for the third ribbon from Zande clone number 2, and another one. Zande clone 3 blown away for my 4th and final ribbon. White Mages have officially peaked. I returned to the crystal to heal and then decided I was juiced up enough to take on Echidna. Aeroga's hitting for 1100 to 1400 damage, so after 9 castings that's still just over a third of her HP. Oh yeah, and Echidna uses Meteor and Quake. Not that I have a problem with that, I just have to resort to spamming Curaga earlier. Once I blasted all my Aerogas, I was once again forced to use Kevin McAllister's secret technique of throwing bricks. God, I really don't know how I'd win this run without those Golem Staves. Those extra levels from Lake Door really helped. I'm hitting anywhere from 550 to 900 damage with break. It's a lot slower than Aeroga, but it is damage. Eventually, Echidna falls, and believe me, I still had like 25 plus Curagas in the bank. Don't even get me started on those Curaja castings. I released the powers of the Dark Crystal, and a Warrior of Darkness popped out. That kinda wraps up the game, honestly. White Mage's strategy of blowing through all of their Aerogas, then swapping to break from Golem Staves, and healing whenever necessary is just how I'm gonna win this game. Ahriman's meteors are really strong and scary when you don't have party-wide full cures. Fortunately for me, I do. This was a long 10-minute slog, but I managed to get through without a single elixir. Once one White Mage runs out of Curaga castings, you just go down the line to the next one. The Golem Staff is also seriously carrying this whole run. At Crystal 3, Dark Warrior 3 pops out and he's running those sweet buns to ambush Cloud of Darkness. Twin-Headed Dragon is last on the chopping block. This is almost exactly the same as the rest of them, except Two-Headed Dragon is likely to pavement plaster somebody. But since I'm in the back row, it's actually a lot less likely. In retrospect, I probably should have thrown down Party-Wide Protect, but you know, whatever. I can just throw a Phoenix down if someone dies, and a Curaga otherwise. Then it's back to business as usual. Ripping Aerogas until I'm out, then resorting to the Golem Staff. 20 minutes total for Ahriman and Two-Headed Dragon, and that's all 4 Dark Warriors freed and laying in wait. I approached Cloud of Darkness ready to blow away the stink, but the Dark Warriors sucked up most of it first. They only got the 99% of germs. I'm here for that final 1%. I started off with a round of Aeroga. Particle Beam came out, that's typical. I set up one White Mage casting Curaga, then I remembered I had magical consumables. I've got some Chocobo's Rats for Flair, White Musks for Holy, and the occasional Raven's Yawn for Aeroga. Chocobo's Rats are pretty good, but everything else is basically the same as Aeroga. At least they don't cost any MP. Once I burned through all of the meaningful magical items, I went back to spamming Aeroga and healing with Curaga and Curaja. I quickly resorted to just ripping Curajas. Honestly, there's not really a whole lot else to say. This fight against Cloud of Darkness is in the bag. Once someone ran out of Curaja castings, it was just going down the line to the next White Mage. Once I've used up all my Aerogas, I swapped a break from the Golem Staff. I'd love to tell you that anything meaningful happened in this fight, but it kinda just didn't. I did think that I might have to throw a toast of elixirs for the party. If I did suck down an elixir, I would have refreshed both my Aeroga and Curaja castings for the whole party, and this would just kind of restart all over again. But that just never happened. 18 minutes later, my White Mages beat Cloud of Darkness without ripping a single elixir. That's Final Fantasy III completely cruised through using only White Mages. They may actually just be the best job in the whole game. Final Fantasy III using only White Mages was completed in 6 hours, 37 minutes, and 25 seconds. We don't need no progressive job system around these parts. White Mages crushed it at level 70, beating out Monk by 5 levels. Who could have guessed that having access to very strong healing would have been the solution to success? You can completely negate meteors and particle beams with this one simple spell. It is pretty wild how little magic you're offered at the start of the game though. White Mage's staple, Cure, is unavailable from Ur's shops. That really feels like a complete oversight. The Wind Crystal's like, here bro, have 3 magic casters, and then the game only offers you 2 spells that you have to go out of your way to find. It definitely helps that White Mage gets its own line of offensive spells with Arrow in Final Fantasy III. Kinda bonkers that they gave that to Blue Mage in 5. All of these Final Fantasies are really holding out on the holy spells though. I have beautiful memories of endlessly spamming Banish and its sequel, Banish 2, for fun in my 50 levels of Paladin in Final Fantasy XI. Hey, you gotta raise that Divine Magic skill for Flash at level 37 somehow. The early Elemental and later the Golem Staves are the true MVPs of this run. The arrow spells are cute, but you just don't get enough castings of them. Other than that, White Mage has the main solution to the biggest problems in Final Fantasy III. Party-wide healing. Endgame boss mechanics in Final Fantasy III really just boil down to spamming high target all damage, as evidenced by Cloud of Darkness spamming Particle Beam every turn. You really have 2 options to combat this. You either kill the enemy before it kills you, or you find a way to sustain yourself through that damage. White Mages are in the latter camp with extreme healing. Curaga and Curaja spam turn this game into a complete joke. I've said in the past that Final Fantasy V expects you to have a White Mage at all times, but Final Fantasy III really does too. This is especially true since you don't have multi-classing options in 3. White Mage only seriously had no resistance in this run at all, not even a red loser stamp. You can smash your way through the early game to get to Elemental Staves. Once you get those, you're just a de facto Black Mage for the rest of the game. Goldor's like the only fight that requires a physical beatdown after those Elemental Staves come into play. For anything even remotely difficult, you have endless healing to outwit, outplay, and outlast every single boss. And now it's time, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna say the line! If White Mages can win, then obviously Devouts, their intended upgrade, can also win. Granted, you get Devouts at the very end of the game, so you're schlepping it as White Mages for like the whole thing anyways. Devouts, as usual, get access to more of the higher tier equipment, spells, and superior stats. Realistically, that means even more castings of Curaga and Curaja. Since White Mages crushed it easily, those kitty cat Kigurumi warriors would have no complaints about getting to the end. Especially since you'd have both Aeroga and Holy for damage. And now I'm gonna say it again! I'm extending this Golem Staff Curaja spam victory to the ultimate spellcaster, the Sage. Sages are the endgame build-your-own spellcaster. If you were so inclined, you could outfit all of your Sages just like White Mages with Cure Spells and the Golem Staff. Sage unlocks even later than the Devout, but you'd be able to win just the same. That's a 3-for-1 with White Mage. Realistically, it should probably be a 4-for-1. But I've never actually played Red Mage post the Water Crystal, so who knows if it even gets Curaga, or if it can equip the Golem Staff. If Red Mage can equip the Golem Staff and spam Curaga, I foresee some extreme deja vu in the future. Thank you for watching Backlog Buster with a special double thank you to my blessed Buster boys. Your support really does make the difference. I'll catch every one of you in the next video.